Two Rapture Dreams that kind of complete each other, so I just wanted to share that. One was a little bit over 2 years ago, and one was last week. The one from 2 years ago, I did not get taken into Rapture, but I thank God for His mercy and His grace and His provision for letting me know that I was not going, and for leading me now into a relationship with Him, which I did not have. I was a Christian back then, but I did not know what it meant to know God. I only knew what it meant to know of God. But since that dream and other dreams, that, again, God's mercy, I've come to know what it means to have a relationship and to actually know Him. Okay. So that first dream, I was in a city. And I was in the streets, and everybody else was in the streets, and people were running and screaming, and everything was on fire. I mean, everything. I didn't see nothing around me that wasn't burning. Everything was on fire. But as we're running and people are screaming, and I'm seeing some familiar faces and some faces I don't know, and I think for a second though, wait, what are we running from? So I turn around to try to see what we're running from, and as I turn around, there's a woman. And the woman was there, and then she wasn't there. As in, the only way to describe it is like she was like light. First I saw her, and she was a regular person. She was just standing there, and then she was like light, and she just went up really fast. Just light went up fast. And then I woke up. And because I did not know God at that point, did not truly know Him, I also did not know anything about a rapture. So when I had that dream, I had no idea what happened to that woman. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what I was seeing. But obviously, you know, learning about God and reading the Bible and talking to God and God talking to me and seeing videos and God giving me dreams, now I know that's the rapture. So last week, I had a rapture dream. And this time, instead of being in the city, I was on a highway. I was still on the street, but I was on a highway, and it was like a forest on the right. And there was no one out there but me and my family. No cars, no nothing. It was very, very quiet, very, very quiet. But I looked up and I saw a red thing. That's a red thing in the sky. And at first I thought it was a blood moon, but it was detailed. It was very detailed. And I was thinking, is the moon just closer where I can see all this detail? Or is this like, I don't know. I just knew it was red, but it doesn't seem like the moon. But I'm like, what could this be? But then I continue to look at the sky, and the sky starts, the way to describe it is like, it's like a wave. It started looking like waves of color coming in, waves of color. And I don't even remember what colors it was, but it was just like, it felt like it's like kind of like the ocean, where the ocean, you see that like white froth of the ocean when it comes in. That's how the sky looks. Not necessarily color, I'm just saying like it went like waves of color, waves of color, waves of color. And as I was looking at the sky, I started hearing explosion, explosion, explosion. It was like an AI thing. I used to have a fire alarm that would go fire, fire, fire. And it was like that. But instead of fire, it was saying explosion, explosion, explosion. And as I'm hearing explosion, 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 I'm looking at the sky. I just have this knowing in my spirit, revelation really. And I'm realizing, oh my God, Jesus is coming. So I start running and screaming and running and screaming. And I start crying. And then I just lift my hand up and look up to the sky and get ready to go. And then I wake up. But the reason why I thought this dream was really cool is because one is the rapture, amen. But I mean, those two dreams, that they kind of give a bigger picture, because one, I was in the city, so I knew the disaster that was happening in the city. But as I'm in this abandoned place, I still hear the commotion. I still hear explosion, explosions, explosion. In the first dream, I knew everything was on fire. I didn't know why it was on fire. But in the second dream, I hear explosion, so I know some kind of explosion is happening. So during the rapture, from what I saw from these two dreams, it's complete madness. It's complete chaos. It's complete fear. Like, people are running in the streets and everything is burning. Okay, so it's going to be very, very scary, very, very scary to be left behind. So if you're not in a relationship with Jesus, like I wasn't 2 years ago, but you think you're all good, but you don't know him, you've never read the Bible, okay, you don't hear from God, okay, you don't talk to God, you don't tell him everything, you don't go to him in a crisis, you don't go to him when there's no crisis. God should be like your best friend. The way you talk to your best friend is how you need to be with God. And the way I think about it is, if your best friend is having a party, you don't have to think if you're going, you know you're gonna invite. And that's where you should be with Jesus. You should be so close to Jesus that when he's having his party, his wedding supper, there's no question that you're a guest. Okay, so I just want to let you know, please, please, please get in a relationship with Jesus. Amen.